friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be going through the 25 comics and graphic novels and manga that I want to read in 2025. So a lot of people film these 25 books for 2025, and I just personally didn't want to make one of those because I'm now going to be doing monthly TBRs as well as TLDR wrap-ups. There's just going to be a lot of repetition, but I thought it would be fun to at least give you an update on the comics and graphic novels and manga that I plan to get to. I have been a long-term fan of comics and graphic novels. My brother and I actually created one ourselves. We sold it at some conventions. Just like a little one-off comic, but it was a great time. He's a wonderful artist and I loved writing it. So I just have a lot of passion for the comic industry. So I just always have a big collection of ones that I still want to get to. So I thought I would run through them real quick, let you know just what's on my radar, and maybe you can suggest some more in the comments down below. Without further ado, I'm gonna jump in. So the very first manga that I would absolutely love to get to in 2025 is Ranma Half by Rumiko Takahashi. Now, Rumiko Takahashi is the author and creator of Inuyasha, which is my top manga series of all time, anime series. It has that feeling of nostalgia that I just watched it so much as a kid. I love it so much. Remember when OTPs were like a big thing? Yeah, Kagome and Inuyasha are my OTP. I have them literally tattooed on my body. I freaking adore them. So I really want to give this series a try. And then they just released a new redone anime of it, and I'm so excited because Damien Haas from Smosh is actually one of the voice actors for this show, which has just even higher leveled my intrigue. I know that this has to do with, I believe, a young boy who just something will happen and he transitions into a woman, like literally like spends half time as a man and half as a woman. Don't know any more specifics of that, but it has really great reviews. I'm interested in what kind of conversations about gender it might have, especially with the newly released version. But this is the first one on my radar. The next one I'm going to name really quick, but I won't go into too many details, but I do hope that we get Heartstopper Volume 6 by Alice Oseman this year. If you're watching this video, you've probably heard of Heartstopper. I won't go on about it. I do love the series very much, but I hope this one comes out this year. It is the final one that we are anticipating getting, and I need it in my hands. Luckily, those are the only two that I don't have a physical copy of, so we're gonna now get into these piles of books. So the third book that I would like to get to is Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. This is like a memoir graphic novel that has to do with mental health and coping mechanisms, mayhem, and other things that happened. I think this is just kind of like a snarky, tongue-in-cheek take on a self-help book. So let me know if you've read this and I'm wrong in that estimation, but I've just seen this everywhere. I remember when it came out, it kind of like took the world by storm. So I look forward to still giving this one a shot. The next manga that I want to get to is Blood on the Tracks Volume 1 by Shuzo Oshimi. This, all I know, is a horror graphic novel. I believe it's in a similar vein as Bates Motel. I don't know to what extent, but it has to do with a young boy in his relationship with his mother and his mother's questionable behavior. This is also one that has just had so much hype that I really look forward to getting to it. I haven't really been in the mood for much horror or anything too intense, but I feel like as a manga, I'd be able to handle it, so would like to get to this one sooner rather than later. I feel like that's going to be a repeated phase in this video. Sorry, ahead of time. The next manga that I would then like to get to is Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1 by Hiromu Arakawa. I have never consumed any Full Metal Alchemist. I know that the show is well beloved as well as the manga, and we have this beautiful hardcover like collector's edition, Full Metal edition. So if I love this, I would like to continue the collection of them. I believe this has to do with brothers and something to do with their body being replaced by droid parts. I don't know too much, but I am really interested in this one. This next one is actually an interesting collection of short stories, and that is Death Note short stories. This is by Tsugumi Oba, which is the creator of Death Note. I love the cover of this, and just recently in 2024, my partners and I, we read all of the Death Note books, so I'm excited to finish it up with this little short story collection. This literally just showed up at my bookstore one day as a used copy, and I said, okay, well, first of all, you're stunting, so you're coming home with me. But now I'm like, now that I've completed it, maybe I'd like to touch back in and get a little glimpse into how other people handled the Death Note. The next comic is one that was recommended by a coworker I had at the library, and that is War and Peace, Funny Comics for Dirty Lovers by Jonathan Coons and Elizabeth Pitch. This is just kind of short 4-frame to 6-frame comics. I think actually they might be all 4 frames, but they kind of just have like a dry humor element added to them. There's no cohesiveness. They just kind of have like what the bit is and what the joke is. Kind of more like a comic strip style thing. But when they first recommended this to me, I had tried a couple pages of the library version, and I very quickly was like, oh, this is so cute. I want to have it on my shelves. So I'd like to finish it because I never quite officially did, and I look forward to it. Now this next one might be a little bit crazy, but I would like to start One Piece by Ichiro Oda. Now, I have very little exposure to One Piece. I do follow Gavin, and I am a Patreon for Gav Reads It All. And he is, of course, a huge One Piece fan. Nick is a huge One Piece fan. I did watch the live action and was obsessed with it. I was a very, very big fan. So then we started the very first episode of the anime. I just think if I'm going to really enjoy the experience, I would be most successful focusing on the live action when it comes out. And then I think I do want to watch, they're like doing a revival of the original anime as well. I think I would watch that because I struggle with filler episodes. Even in Inuyasha, there's a lot of filler episodes, and I just struggle with those. They just tend to be really difficult to get through, and One Piece has like 2,000 episodes. So I think that all that to say, my best methods of success would be the live action, maybe the new anime, but then especially reading through the manga, I think, has the potential to be a win. The next comic book I would like to get to is Firefly. This is by Joss Whedon, and then a lot of other names. This is the Legacy Edition for book 1. Firefly changed my life. That was such a fantastic viewing experience. I could not believe how much I loved Serenity. That also shook me to the core. But as, you know, Firefly is this cult classic sci-fi western, and it just only had 1 season and 1 movie, so there's now a lot of kind of fan expansions on that. There's a book series and then a comic series. I did just see that I believe the rights to Firefly by Boom has expired, and they don't plan on renewing them, but I heard a lot of people were happy about that because they don't actually like these comics, but I already own it, so I'm going to obviously give it a shot so I can decide if I want to keep reading it or not, but I want to read the first Firefly comic because I miss these characters so much. The next one I then want to read is The Promised Neverland by Caillou Cheray. This is a series that has to do with these children in an orphanage, and I believe they're always told not to venture out past the walls of the orphanage, and then there's something sinister behind the walls. I don't know if it's apocalyptic, sci-fi, alienish. I have no idea, but I'm really intrigued to get to it. It hasn't been spoiled on me, like I said, of what the twist is, and I just think this would be a good adventure story and a little bit dark too, which is always a good element to add. This next one is another one that I don't think I really have to tell you much about. It was so popular, and that is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is volume 1. I've just had this forever and have not gotten to it. It's a Hades Persephone retelling. I think it takes place in like a modern age. To be 100% truthful, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, but I do like the art style a lot. I love the color design specifically. Whoever the colorist is for this series did a fantastic job. It might even be Rachel Smith herself, but I'm gonna go ahead and still give this one a shot, and then I can decide if I'm going to continue or not, because a lot of people seem to not like the series as it goes on, but again, I own the first one. I should get my money's worth of reading it. Then I have Blue Flag by Kato. This is volume 1, and it follows kind of a love triangle or a love might be a square, but I think it's just a triangle between these three characters where I'm pretty sure, like, she likes him and he likes him and he likes him, but I'm not 100% sure. This is another series that the ending, or at least later books in the series, haven't gotten the best reviews by people I follow, but I love a queer manga, so I'm gonna give this a shot. Then the next manga I'd like to get to is Volume 2 of Dream and Sun. This is my copy from the library of Volume 1. If I enjoy Volume 2 and potentially Volume 3, I may start collecting my own copies. But just keep in mind, the library is a wonderful resource for mangas and comics because they can get pricey. So if you're ever looking for where to start a series, I highly recommend checking what your library has in stock, or you can always request that they put an order in. Either way, Dream and Sun. I love slice of life comics. Those are definitely my preferred genre of story when it comes to comics, which is so interesting because I prefer fantasy traditionally published prose. So, you know, whatever. In my manga, I like it to be slice of life. Fruits Basket, for instance, is my favorite show. Like, I know I said Inuyasha is my favorite, but that's where it has like that nostalgia lens of it. Whereas Fruits Basket is just a phenomenal story. Like, it destroys me, it wrecks me. It was probably one of the greatest viewing experiences I ever had. All of that to say, this series is very similar to it, but without the fantasy elements. And it was created by the creator of Orange, which is another comic that I highly recommend. I'll have to do like a recommend series again. I have an old one from like what was on my shelves, but I need to do like an updated one of what I've read since then. But this follows one girl who just always feels very neglected in her home, and so she moves in with a strange guy and the two younger boys that also live with him. And, you know, sometimes it's weird, but it's pretty self-aware of the fact that it's weird. If you didn't know, Fruits Basket also follows a young girl who moves in with this eclectic house of boys. So I'm excited to read it. I think it's gonna be fun. The first volume really surprised me by how much I enjoyed it. And then again, I loved Orange. So also, I never said the name. This is by Ichigo Takano. These next two mangas, I actually believe are adaptations of movies, each respectively. I honestly just bought them because Books A Million, I think, was doing like a buy one, get one situation. But that is 5 centimeters per second by Makoto Shinkai, as well as After the Rain by Jun Mayuzuki. I, again, have very little idea what these are about, but I think they both have movies. And these are either the novelizations of it or they came before. I'm not sure. I'd have to do more research. But I've had them for a couple years now and I would like to complete them. The next one I would like to read is Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo. I have no idea what this one's really about, except it follows a small chosen family situation where this guy is, I think, a spy, obviously. And he has to hire like this young girl and this woman to, I think the woman's like an assassin, and he has to hire them to pretend to be his family. And he doesn't know that she's an assassin. She doesn't know that he's a spy. But then the young girl is a telepath. And so they don't know that she knows everything that's going on. I started watching the show. I just watched literally the first episode one night, and it moved too quickly for me. I was kind of a little overwhelmed. So I hope that I can take a little more time with this one and enjoy it more as a book. And then maybe I could try the show again. Then I have a newer one that I picked up, and that is Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. This just follows two high school students who are really, really anxious, and they're really nervous, and they just have a hard time reaching out and talking to other people, and I believe that they're going to form some sort of relationship. Again, I just wanted more slice of life. The next three are actually going to go hand in hand because they are all for a video project that I think I'm going to do in the fall. And that is books about zombies, 2 of which are specifically about cat zombies. Correct. Exactly what you're thinking? You're correct. So the first one, that just to give you an idea of what vibe we're in, is The Walking Dead. Now, I am not reading this. I am not reading this behemoth. But I have read all of the issues up to volume 100, but this was years and years and years ago. And last year, we decided to restart the show from the beginning. I do find it funny we restarted the show and then promptly stopped watching at the exact same part that I stopped watching the first time I ever watched the show, like when it was live. I just thought that was really funny because we have not gone back to it. But I remember absolutely loving the first few comics, and the first few comics, if you didn't know, had a completely different artist from later on in the show, and his work is quite superior, in my opinion, like the original artist. So I'd like to revisit at least his story, which is volume 1, and just kind of see how I enjoy it, and then I could decide maybe if I don't continue the show, I'll continue the comics. But I thought it would be fun to read that in conjunction with Night of the Living Cat, which is by Hawkman, and The Walking Cat, which is by Tomo Kitoka. Literally, so like if I had a nickel for every time I had a comic manga about cat zombies, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. So I don't know what either of these are about, but I don't want to know. I just thought it would be fun to do a weird vlog of reading cat zombie books and other zombie manga. Let me know if you have any other recommendations that I should get to that are of a similar vein. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to know like why the sizes are so different. Like how different is the story? I'm just interested. So that was the first 20. Now we just have 5 more to run through real quick. Thank you for staying here if you're still here. The first one I still want to get to is One Punch Man. This is by One. I didn't realize that the creator is literally like One. I have been watching the show with Emmett and Nick, and I'm enjoying it. I don't know if I'll read all of the manga, but since I own the first, I like to at least check it off of my list of ones that I've completed. So I'll still try and get to this real quick. Probably wait until I'm even further in the show so it feels even more reserved, like separate. What's that word? Severed. Away from. You know what I mean. Oh, this is about a superhero who can kill anyone and anything with one punch. And it's very, very funny. It's very tongue-in-cheek. I think if you're a Deadpool fan, you would like this. It doesn't quite break the fourth wall, but it's self-aware in a way that's fun. Then, in a similar vein of superhero manga, I would like to read Volume 2 of My Hero Academia. This is by Kohi Horikoshi. I still have not started the show at all, but I did really, really enjoy the first manga. Obviously, the boys are big fans, so I would like to continue the series. This also follows superheroes, but it's a school of superheroes, and they are all training to defend others. And I didn't realize, but it's actually a world where almost everybody has powers, and it's a matter of, like, birth and, like, genetics of what superpowers you get. So I find that really interesting. And this one's a lot more goofy, at least so far. I'm obviously not very far in, but of what I've read, this feels like it'll have a different goofy tone from what I've watched of this, but both seem really good. My partner loves it, so. Then I have Box of Light, Volume 2. This is by Seiko Arasawa. I still have not checked to find out if there will be a Volume 3 of this series, but I absolutely adored Volume 1. I'll probably reread it as well before I move on to Volume 2. But this follows a convenience store that is on the boundary between death and life. There are goofy little creatures that live in this convenience store as well. And the stories, I think, are wonderful. I was just really blown away by it. I love the covers. One time I literally just saw this online and I was like, what is that? I want that. So I read it and I was hooked. So I would love to continue that series. Then this was a gift that was actually sent to me from one of my fellow patrons on Meg's Patreon, and it is The Summer Hikaru Died, and this is a queer horror romance. Kind of all the words I needed to hear. I think it's gonna be great. I think I will probably read it in the summer, since it's the summer Hikaru Died, and it's just gorgeous and kind of gives those summer vibes. This is another one that I'm not sure I've heard the best about the series as it goes on, but it has to do, I believe, with doppelgangers and it being in the summer. It's reminding me a lot of Summertime Rendering. If you have not read that series, it's a really good kind of sci-fi-ish horror series. I really, really loved it, and that has only like 7 or 8 volumes. Highly recommend that series, but this is giving me a similar vibe, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Now, I know I've said it a bunch, but I am really excited for all of these books. But if you did ask me to make a list of the 2 or 3 that I'm most excited for, this final one would be on that list. And that is Sailor Moon by Naiko Takeuchi. I have never engaged with any Sailor Moon media. I have no idea what it's about. I know there's girls who transform into something, the Sailor Girls. I don't know if they're superheroes. I know they sometimes, like, they're Sailor Moon. There's, like, Venus, right? So they're planetary, astrological. That's all I got. Never seen the manga. Obviously, I've never seen the manga. I mean, I'm looking at it right now for the first time. I've never seen the anime, and I've never read the manga. And if there's any other media, I have absolutely no idea. So I'm really excited to read this one. I know it's just an absolute classic. And this is, I think, where I'm supposed to start. This is Sailor Moon Pretty Guardians, Volume 1. Please let me know if it's not where I'm supposed to start, if you know. But what I was seeing, it looks like a good starting place. So I'm excited for this one. With that, though, I'm going to end it, of course, on one that I know nothing about, because that's how I do my informative videos. I'm going to go ahead and get reading because I'm really excited, and I have a lot of other projects in the works right now. So please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. If you want to see my thoughts on any of these, let me know. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!